Welcome back to my Scrape Universe. It's your boy R's back at it again with another video. So I wanted to have this out yesterday, but I had some work that I need to do first, so it's out today. I know that some people have been waiting for me to drop this review for a while, but better late than never, I guess. I haven't done one of these in a while. Obviously this is going to be unscripted like the vast majority of my other reviews. Well, not even the vast majority. All of my reviews are unscripted. So, I'm going to try to give my best take on the movie as objectively as I possibly can. And try to get through this as quickly as I possibly can. Because I don't want you guys to be sitting here watching this for like 40 minutes to an hour. That's way too long for a review. So, let's just jump into this shit. So, I've already watched the sub version going into watching the dub version of the movie, but I went to go see it on Sunday with one of my friends just so that I could see like a better version of it, because when I watched the sub version, it was the bootleg version, so it wasn't really that great quality. So, in the first 5 minutes, basically they just give an idea of how Frieza took over and became the leader of the Frieza Force. His father gave it to him. Honestly, I didn't see much point of, including that scene into the movie, really. It doesn't really change the story in any way, shape, or form. It was just kind of like, look, here's Frieza again, doing what Frieza does. Killing people, being a savage, like, we know that's what Frieza does. I didn't really see any point to it. But skipping forward, we see King Vegeta in the throne room. He's looking at his son, obviously, Vegeta, talking about his potential, and then we get to see Broly. So, the reason why Broly's in the same throne room as Vegeta, and honestly, he's not even more than a couple feet away from him, is because it appears that Broly has a higher latent potential than Vegeta does. Or the son Vegeta, anyway, not the king. So, they try to explain, like, listen, this guy has really high potential, it's a possibility that he could help us in the future, so that's the reason why we're raising him here. King Vegeta obviously doesn't like that because he's a very prideful individual just like his son. And he also decides, well, this guy's power is insanely too high. It could drive him mad, so I'm gonna get rid of the dude. So he makes a plan, decides that he's going to exile him, which is different from the initial story of Broly where he tries to kill Broly. This time he decides, nah, I'm just gonna exile him. So he sends him off to another planet. Paragus comes in and is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And he's like, listen, like I'm trying to tell you, this guy is not going to be reliable. He has way too much power, and one day he's just going to drive him mad. Period. So, no matter what you think, I'm sending the dude off. But I sent him off before you came in here. Paragus is like, fuck. He goes and flies off, jacks a ship, and another Saiyan who's in there, well, not in there, but he's next to the ship trying to take care of it. He gets thrown into the shit, and they end up flying off to go find Broly. This whole sequence where they're trying to find Broly, again, wasn't that interesting. It was just them trying to show the how unhospitable the planet is. That's all they're really doing. It doesn't really show much about Broly himself. That's one of the things that disappointed me about this movie. They didn't go into great detail of like what Broly did to train exactly, and, all the hardships that he'd endured. I wish that the movie had covered more of that from a story standpoint. So, that basically the only thing that happens at the end of it is that they get stranded because when they crash land on the planet, they destroyed the main floater, I think, and because of that, they basically can't even call for help. They can't fly anywhere. So, Paragus is like, well, shit, we can't get off this planet, because it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. And the guy starts panicking, and he's like, we only have food for 10 days, what are we gonna do? And Paragus is a fucking savage, and just shoots the dude in the chest. He's like, well, we're gonna have more food now, I guess. So, he just completely dusts the dude, and then they skip, I think, what was it, 40, no, not 40, it was 5 years. They skip 5 years later. So 5 years later, we finally get to see Bardock, and we get to see Gine. Now, Bardock, at the start of this, he kind of explains why he's skeptical of the reason why Frieza called all the Saiyans back to their home planet. Now, the thing that bugged me is that, like, he thought all this shit, and like his logic and reasoning for why he thought the shit was suspect, like it made sense. But my problem is that he didn't try to do anything about it. Like, basically, in the first, Bardock special, right? The first Bardock special, the reason why, he knew everything was happening because he could see into the future. It was a really stupid fucking plot device, right? But I like that Bardock more just because, even though the fact that he could see the future is really dumb, he was much more intense and had a much more, like, Saiyan-like aura. This Bardock is, like, really chill and, like, really mellow, and it doesn't fit into, like, the Saiyan mesh that Toriyama built, in a sense, for the Saiyans that were on the original planet Vegeta, and it didn't really make much sense to me, but moving forward, that's just a nitpick that I had. Bardock, he talks to Gina, and he's like, listen, I have a bad feeling about this shit. We should just take our son and we should get him the fuck out of here. So he grabs a pod, or he steals a pod anyway, puts Goku in the shit, and he sends him off. His reasoning for why he decided that he wasn't going to leave with Gine is because, essentially he didn't want, anybody to spot his power level or Gine's while they were trying to escape. Again, I kinda understand, but at the same time, I feel like he still could have managed to do, like, I feel like he could have still tried to escape. Like, I don't think that Frieza would really go out of his way to track down one lone Saiyan spaceship. Like, even after Planet Vegeta got destroyed, there were Saiyans that were scattered across the universe, and I mean, he didn't bother chasing after them. He didn't give a shit. But, I mean, that's the story's, plot point, so whatever. Going back to my original point, talking about Bardock, I don't particularly like this Bardock. Like, I don't hate this Bardock anything, but this sort of Bardock would make more sense. Like, this mellow and chill Bardock would make more sense if he had, like, lived on Earth for, like, you know, like, he lived on Earth like Vegeta did. Like, cause remember when Vegeta came to Earth, he was really savage, he was really an asshole, and the longer that he stayed on Earth, he became more mellow. It's just like, there's no explanation for how, like, Bardock, who was normally, like, is a savage, ruthless warrior, he himself admitted in the video, like, not in the video, in the movie, that he was, like, a really, he's a murderer, he's taken over planets, he's killed a lot of people, and then on a whim, he just decides to save somebody. I mean, they don't really explain how he came to this mellow point. It just seems, I don't know, it seems kind of arbitrary, there's no real logic behind it, but, again, that's just my opinion. So, I assume we skip like 36 years, into the future, because when they first saw the movie, they say it's 41 years ago, and then they skip 5 years, and then they skip the present day. So I assume they skipped forward 36 years, and we go to see Goku and Vegeta sparring. So they're sparring, and then Bulma gets a notification from Trunks that the Dragon Balls have been stolen. The thing that one of the other people that have that presence has annoyed me in this movie is Bulma, and not necessarily their presence, but the fact that this bitch keeps getting shit stolen from her and has not improved her security in any meaningful way. Like, she has been robbed so many times already. Her house has been put under threat multiple times. She doesn't have any bodyguards. Her security has been proven to be inefficient. And yet again, because the plot demands it, the Dragon Balls just keep getting stolen every time she fucking grabs the shit. I don't know. Like, this has literally been a thing since, like, the other Dragon Ball Z movies where people have just, like, been either they kidnap her and get the Dragon Radar or some shit. It's just kind of ridiculous. They keep using the similar plot point over and over again. But the Dragon Balls get stolen. After that, they're like, well, Bulma explains that, it's on the ice planet. We can go get on the ice planet. And they decide they're going to jump in Bulma's ship, and they're going to fly off. So, but my whole thing is, why did Bulma need to come with them for this? I mean, Goku can fly, Vegeta can fly, both of them can fly at FTL speeds. Why did they need to be there? Or why does she need to be there anyway? It didn't seem like it just feel like she was just there, as comedic relief, but she doesn't really serve any other point in the story. I don't understand why she's there. Like, Goku has instant transmission. If he really needed a guide, Piccolo was in his movie. Could have just instant transmission to him. Took Vegeta with them. They could have flew off. But I guess the reason why she went with them is so they could include some cheesy bullshit. Which is now Beerus, the god of destruction, is babysitting Vegeta and Bulma's child. It's just like, why? Like, why did Beerus have to do this? But why does Toriyama have to force his shitty forced comedy into everything? Like, this guy is one of the strongest people in the universe. It was already getting bad back in the Dragon Ball Super Tournament of Power arc when this nigga was crying over Goku and shit, looking like he was about to start bitching. Like, his character has regressed. He went from being a cold, savage dude to now he's babysitting children. Like, he is a god of destruction. You shouldn't be doing this shit. And in particular, it makes no sense why he even had to do this shit to begin with. You had Trunks there. He was literally there already. You talked to him on the phone. He could have took care of him. Why do you not have an assistant? Why can't you hire a babysitter? You have, like, infinite money. It makes no sense to me. For like, all that for a forced joke. It wasn't that funny. Granted, there were a lot of comedic relief moments in this movie that were indeed funny, but this wasn't one of them, in my opinion. It just seemed unnecessary. But moving forward, we skip to Bulma flying around Whis, Goku, and Vegeta in the ship, and Goku asked what Bulma's, why she was trying to gather the Dragon Balls and what her wish was going to be. And her wish was that she was going to wish to become 5 years younger, I think, or look 5 years younger, some shit like that. This was just a comedic relief moment. Not much to, talk about here. She just wanted to look younger. It fits into Bulma's character. She's a vain, even though she is the most intelligent person in the series and the wealthiest, she's also very vain. So it makes sense why she would make a wish like that. So now we skip to Frieza's spaceship, because what I didn't mention earlier was that the people that stole the Dragon Balls were Frieza's henchmen. Because of course we got to bring Frieza back. It's not like Frieza hasn't been overused and abused several times in Dragon Ball Super, but let's bring him back again because marketing. So Frieza comes back, right? And they go over why Frieza stole the Dragon Balls. And the reason why he stole the Dragon Balls is one of the stupidest fucking reasons I've ever heard of in my entire life. This man went out of his way to steal the Dragon Balls to gain 5 centimeters of height. I shit you not. He went out of his way to steal the Dragon Balls to get 5 centimeters of height. That's it. I can't be asked. Like, I legit cannot be asked with this fucking stupidity. Again, more Toriyama's forced comedy. This shit, I know for some people, they thought this shit was funny. This shit is infuriating for someone who has been watching this shit since Dragon Ball Z and knows what type of person Frieza is and knows that him making a wish like this is absolutely one of the stupidest things they could have ever done to Frieza's character. His character has been slowly regressing over time, and this just kind of puts the nail in the coffin, right? Back to the Namek arc in Dragon Ball Z. This man was going to wish for immortality, right? Then in Super, he got his minions wished for him to be revived. Then in the Tournament of Power arc, he was going to wish for multiversal domination. And now he gets the Dragon Balls. And he wants to get 5 centimeters of height. Just, wow. Just, so goddamn stupid. Let's move forward from that, because that shit tilted the hell out of me. Moving forward, we skip to 2 people that are in the Frieza Force. They're flying on their own. I'm trying to remember what their names. I think one of them is Chirai, the green female. I don't remember what the old dude's name is. I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Beanie because that's what he was wearing. So Beanie and Chirai are flying through space, and they're trying to find people to, help out with the Frieza Force because they're low on numbers. They need to find someone with a power level of 1,000 or greater. So they happen to stumble across Vampa, and the distress signal from the ship is still going off. So they drop down. Paragus runs out, and he explains that he's been stranded there for a really long time. So at this point, they show Broly all grown up. Blah blah blah. His power can't be read by the Scouters. They throw him on the ship, and they dip. So now at this point, they show off Broly and Paragus to Frieza, and he basically sees that the guy he has a lot of untapped potential. So he pays Chirai and Beanie, and they skip to this scene where basically we see how unstable Broly is as a character, because this random drunk dude comes over, starts fucking with Beanie and Chirai, and Broly damn near fucking almost snaps the nigga's neck. So Paragus, with his little remote that he has to control Broly, they basically kept the same sort of constraint that they had in the original Broly movies. But for this Broly movie, I would say that Broly in this movie has definitely been depicted better than the Broly from the other movie. Basically, Broly in the other movies' backstory is shit. Like, everybody agrees his backstory is shit. The reason why he hates Goku is because he cried next to him as a child. He doesn't particularly hate anybody in this movie. He's just an unhinged dude because all the power he has has driven him mad. But going back to what I was talking about, Paragus shocks Broly, and Chirai gets all up in his shit, talking about some, you made him like this. And again, I don't like this shit because Chirai doesn't know anything. Like, she literally met these dudes like a day ago, and the only reason why they brought him back is because they knew they were getting paid for it. Now these guys are acting like, oh, we're such decent people, and you're such an asshole father. Like, you're the reason why Broly is like this. Like, no, like, that's a plot point they kept trying to push over and over and over again in this movie, is that the reason why Broly is so insane is because of his father. Like, no, you have no evidence to support that. If anything, the reason why Broly is like this is because of his own latent power and his own latent potential. Again, this is something that they emphasized at the beginning of the movie. The King Vegeta, he literally said that his power was going to drive him mad. And later on, Paragus explains that the reason why he had to put the restraint on him was because he kept going into fits of rage to the point where he could have killed Paragus. He could have destroyed the planet potentially that they were on. So that's the reason why he put that thing around his neck. It's true that Paragus made him fight and train up his power against his will. I'll agree to that. But the reason why the dude is insane isn't because of Paragus. It's because he has always had the potential to be that way. That's because his power basically drives him insane. Like, that's the way it is. It's the same thing for KO. Like, no one made KO insane in Dragon Ball Super. I know people don't like KO, but it's a parallel. Basically, KO is the Broly of Universe 6. But nobody made KO insane. Like, her power is what drives her insane. It's the same thing for Broly. So I don't understand why they made it seem like Paragus is responsible for Broly's insanity while providing no evidence for that. And instead, what they talked about at the beginning of the movie directly contradicts that plot point they kept trying to push, or that narrative. But it didn't make any sense. Then Chirai does one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, in which she steals the remote. The one thing that kept Broly hinged and, like, made sure that he didn't lash out and just kill people wantonly. She takes the one goddamn thing that was going to... She takes the remote. She takes the remote, and now there's no way to control Broly. If the nigga decides that he's gonna lose his mind and lose his shit, that's it. Nobody can control the dude anymore. It's it's just so dumb. Like, there's no logical reasoning for why they did that shit. They just said, well, it's cruel, blah, 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 but you don't know anything. What gives you the right to interfere in the life of somebody that you met less than a day ago? Which, again, you only saved this dude because you saw they had a high power level and that you needed the money. That was the only reason why you did this. There was no logical reasoning for why she stole that shit from him. Aside from the fact that Beanie and Shirai thought that it was, cruel. It's just so dumb. Like, Paragus, like, and the thing is, Paragus literally explained why he needed this shit too. And he told them in this little scene to mind your own goddamn business. And they should have minded their own goddamn business. It had nothing to do with them. And instead they steal the remote, the only thing that can control Broly rage. But I guess they had to do that in order for him to lose his mind later on in the movie. But the reason why they stole the remote was fucking stupid to me. Going forward, they go in a little bit of backstory. Again, they didn't go into as much backstory as I wanted for Broly's story. But basically they try to explain that Broly is a much nicer person in this iteration, which I don't mind. Again, I think that his characterization in this movie is a lot better than in the old Broly movies. The only thing that I liked about the old Broly movies compared to the new one is that the old Broly, while fighting, was a spectacular villain. Like, his voice delivery, you know, the lines he said, like, just the shit that he says is so fucking quotable, right? But the reason why he's such an asshole is trash. So that's the reason why that old Broly is a trash character. The only thing that's cool about him is his dialogue and the way that he treats people while he's in his legendary Super Saiyan state. New Broly has a better backstory, and, you know, he's not as cool as the old Broly in terms of, like, his like, basically what he says when he's lost his mind or anything. He actually doesn't say anything. He just kind of screams. But it makes you more sympathetic to him as a character. But I still just wanted to see more backstory. The only thing they covered is that he had, you know, reason why he had the green pelt around him is because that was the ear of his first friend, which was a giant green monster on the planet they were from. It was a cute story, blah, blah, blah. And they continue to Chirai and Beanie continue to badmouth, Paragus, blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't understand why the nigga Paragus, there are plenty of reasons to give Paragus shit, but, like, giving him shit for putting a restraint around his neck when that was the only thing that was keeping Broly intact, I find that to be stupid. But I do agree that Paragus, I don't know, I really don't understand Paragus' logic. We're gonna move forward a little bit forward, but I'm gonna explain why I don't really like Paragus' his little revenge. The revenge premise that they have in this movie, I think, is really stupid. But I'm gonna move forward, because I don't want to. I've been ranting on this particular section of the movie for a while, so I'm gonna move forward. And I'm at the 25-minute mark. Fuck. All right, let's go forward. So we skip back. To planet Earth. They finally collect the 7th Dragon Ball, Frieza's minions anyway, and they basically, once they get back to their ship, they're like, Goku, Vegeta, they both land down, and they see him, they're like, oh shit, their power can't be read, we out of here. And Vegeta said, nah, chill, shoots them down, they drop down, they're like, hey, get out the ship, and hand over the Dragon Balls. But at the same time, Frieza decides that he's going to fly over because he finds out that they just collected the 7th Dragon Ball. And then we have this face-off where we see, finally, Frieza gets off the ship, and Goku and Vegeta face off with him. Broly sees Goku and Vegeta for the first time in Paragus, blah, blah, blah. So, Paragus is sort of, again, I'm going to go into this because I said I was going to a couple minutes ago, but Paragus is basically, his whole premise for revenge is that he's pissed off that King Vegeta is alive? Like, I just don't understand what the premise of his revenge plan is. Like, he already knows that King Vegeta is dead. Planet Vegeta is dead. Like, everybody's dead. Like, the only person who's really left is Goku and Prince Vegeta. And he's like, well, King Vegeta's, his sins are now on your head, Prince Vegeta. And even the moron known as Goku says, what? That doesn't make any sense. He has nothing to do with this. It's stupid. It makes no sense. The instant that he found out that King Vegeta was dead, right? And Planet Vegeta was gone. Like, his plans for revenge should have evaporated. There was no reason for why for him to hate someone who has done effectively nothing to him. Except for the reason that he's blood related to someone he hated. It's really stupid. That's something that has been used as a plot point in many other movies. Like, basically, the sin of the father is now the sin of the son. It's stupid. Like, if they have done nothing to you, why do you hate them? It's just dumb, right? Basically, at this point, this is when we finally get to the best part of the movie, right? We get to the best part, which is the fighting scenes in the movie. Done with all the comedic relief shit, or at least the majority of it. We're done with the forced comedy. We're done with the stupid premises. We're done with the shitty storytelling. Let's just get into the fighting, right? So, Broly attacks Vegeta, and the fighting in this movie is fucking spectacular. Period. I'm going to be shitting over the storytelling throughout all this review. Like, I don't like the storytelling or the premise really in this movie at all. But, the fighting in this movie is spectacular. The animation in this movie is also spectacular. There's no debate about it. Like, this is one of the best looking Dragon Ball movies I've ever fucking seen come out from Toei. Period. This has to be, like, in my opinion, this is the best looking Dragon Ball movie ever created. Period. End of story. Just the way that they did everything, it was super fluid. I love the choreography. The fighting between Broly and Vegeta is amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to go, like, even if the storytelling is shit, you should, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you should go watch this movie just for the spectacular animation alone. The storytelling bothers me, but I'm a critic, so that's what I do. I criticize the story and its elements and shit like that. But regardless, fantastic animation, fantastic fighting. There's a couple of moments in the fighting that, it's not that they didn't make sense, but it was that I didn't truly understand. Like, there was like one time where Vegeta goes into Super Saiyan and the lighting was weird and his hair turned green and then it turned yellow. It didn't make much sense to me. I think it was just maybe a color issue. I don't know if that was intentional or not. It was just weird. A lot of people have been complaining about why the fuck Broly is as strong as he is. Like, how is he able to fight Super Saiyan Goku in base? Not Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Vegeta in base. And I'm going to excuse this, his, like, obscene power for a couple of reasons. And I've explained this to people that I'm friends with, people I talk with on the Discord, so on and so forth. So, the reason why I'm excusing his absurd power is because they already established way back in the past that his potential was higher than Vegeta's. Remember that shit, that his potential was higher than Vegeta's, first of all. Second of all, even though he's never fought anybody before, and I know that's been a complaint about that other people has had who are critics like me, even though he's never fought anybody before, he was fighting for his survival for over 40 years on another planet. I think it was around 41 years to be exact. He was on another planet for essentially 41 years, maybe 40 years tops. Like, that's a long ass time to be trying to survive. And they also explain throughout the story that Broly taught himself how to fight. Like, he basically taught himself how to dodge by dodging Ba's teeth, the big green monster. Like, he learned how to dodge from dodging that monster's attacks. His father taught him the basics of fighting through sparring, and the rest he kind of had to learn on his own. And the rest of his fighting is completely reliant on instinct. I can't really be mad at him for being able to keep up with them when you consider the fact that the legendary Super Saiyan doesn't really follow coherent logic. It annoys me that they won't explain why the legendary Super Saiyan is so obscenely powerful, but it's kind of been established to not follow any real coherent logic in reference to Super Saiyans. So, it's at least more tolerable than Kale in Dragon Ball Super because, like, that was stupid. Like, Kale had not even half the experience as Goku, and she was kicking his ass. At least Broly has 40 years of experience of trying to survive on another planet, which is the only reason why I'm excusing his obscene amount of power in this part of the movie. So, if it doesn't sound like I'm too bothered by Broly being able to kick Vegeta's ass or Goku's ass or anything like that, it's because I'm not, like, some of it bothers me, but it doesn't bother me nearly as much as Kale. It makes more sense for him than it does for Kale or Caulifla or any other female Saiyans from Universe 6. I mean, like, when your entire life is filled with nothing but conflict and you're forced to train yourself to survive, it kind of makes sense why you're able to keep up with these guys despite the fact that you haven't fought anybody before. He's just a giant ball of instinct, and that's all I'm going to say on that point. Hate me for that opinion. I don't care. That's just my perspective on it. I'm excusing it. So, Broly fights Super Saiyan Vegeta. They're pretty even. Then Vegeta goes into Super Saiyan God, and he dicks Broly. Like, just sends him straight into the ground. Broly, then unlocks more of his rage, and he unlocks a new form. I don't know how to describe. Alright, this is how I'm gonna describe it. It's basically as, Paragus explained it. He said that basically what Broly is doing is he's using the power of the Great Ape, but he's using it without actually transforming into a Great Ape. I don't know how this is possible, but this explains why his power suddenly spiked, and if we're going off of the multiplier for the Great Ape transformation, his power increased by 10 times, and then he starts fighting Super Saiyan Vegeta, Super Saiyan God Vegeta, and he starts pressuring him. Oh, I forgot to mention, Vegeta has Super Saiyan God in this movie. Again, they still haven't explained why he has Super Saiyan God or how he acquired it. He just has it. But it was a cool reveal nonetheless. So he pressures Vegeta with his new transformation or new form. And then Goku decides, well, it's my turn. Now, here's another problem that I had in the movie, because what I didn't talk about earlier in the review is that Frieza explicitly tells Paragus, right? He explicitly tells Paragus, Goku is mine. You cannot have him, okay? I am going to be the one to kill Goku. Period. End of story. If you try to deny me of my vengeance, I will fucking kill you. Alright? I don't understand why Goku and Broly, like, why that was allowed by Frieza, despite the fact that he clearly vocalized that he didn't want anybody to have Goku except him. And yet he lets Broly fight Goku and almost nearly kill him. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, but essentially, Goku does this little warm-up thing that we saw in the trailers. They start throwing hands. Goku, for some unknown reason, decides to fight him in base, despite the fact that he just saw Vegeta get his ass kicked in Super Saiyan God. Why? Just why? And, he decides that, okay, I'm gonna go into Super Saiyan. Obviously, that's still not enough. Then he goes into Super Saiyan God. Once he goes into Super Saiyan God, things kind of even out, and he uses some new technique that we've never seen before, which causes Broly to lock into place, and he tries to talk him down, essentially. He's like, Broly, listen, I know you're not a bad dude. I don't want to kill you. Like, can we just, like, you don't have to listen to what everybody else tells you to do. You know, be your own person. And it looked like Broly was going to, like, he was coming back to his senses, but for some reason, he went back into his enraged state. Which, I mean, I don't really understand it, but given his instincts after he lost his mind again, he uses the same technique that Goku just used on him, and just fucking wrecks the shit out of him. Again, he's a ball of instinct. He basically learns as he fights. It's okay to me only because he had to survive on a planet by him, with him and his father on a very hostile planet for 40 years. If it wasn't for that tidbit of a backstory, I wouldn't tolerate any of this shit. But when you have to be in full survival mode for 40 years, you're constantly in fight or flight mode. So that kind of explains why he has so much instinct, and the reason why he has so much skill as a fighter. He's just a ball of instinct. But he uses Goku's technique against him, starts beating his ass, and Goku gets a call from Piccolo via, I think, what's the word for it? It's not telekinesis. What is it? Psychokinesis? I don't remember. Telepathy. That's what it is. I'm stupid. He uses telepathy to contact Goku's like, listen, it looks like some shit is going down over there. You good? He's like, I would come help you, but I don't want that smoke. I'm not trying to get fucked up. And Goku says, listen, just sit on standby. I'm gonna see what I can do here. So he stands up. He decides, I'm gonna try and unlock Master Ultra Instinct. What he learned in the tournament. You can see, it's a very small flash of the white hair and the white pupils when he's trying to transform, but he ends up going to Super Saiyan Blue accidentally. So he goes back to fighting Broly. Broly powers up even further, and they start kicking each other's ass, right? At this point, and this was a pretty funny part of the movie, and it's actually a very smart idea on Frieza's part, is Frieza remembers how when he blew up Krillin on Namek, that Goku turned to a Super Saiyan. He knew that Broly needed to become a Super Saiyan in order to fight Goku. So, he turns to Paragus. He's like, it appears that he hit his limit. What shall I do? Oh, I know. And he fucking dusts him. And I'm just like, well, that's just karma, my guy. That's what you get for not giving up on your revenge. So, he kills Paragus. And then he hams it up, pretends like, oh no, Paragus got killed by a stray ki blast, and Broly loses his mind. While this was a very intelligent move on Frieza's part, and it was very funny. It's kind of it's somewhat sad, but at the same time, it's just funny because he came out here to get his revenge and ended up getting dusted by the dude that I don't understand why he even trusted Frieza to begin with, but he just dusted him. That's how Broly, he loses his mind because the one person that was taking care of his entire life just died. So he goes into Super Saiyan. Makes sense. Completely plausible. I had no problems with that. The only problem that I had was the fact that Frieza, on his own volition, just let a Super Saiyan become a Super Saiyan. Not Super Saiyan, a Saiyan become a Super Saiyan. You understand that the dude has lost his mind already, right? He will attack anybody that this dude sees. And you decide to make him even more powerful? Again, what happened to you wanting to get your revenge on Goku? Why are you now suddenly okay with Broly getting revenge on Goku for you? It doesn't make sense to me, personally. Again, he vocalized early in the movie, I want Vegeta I'm not Vegeta. You can have Vegeta, but I want Goku for myself. I won't let anybody deny me of my vengeance. And then he almost lets Broly deny him of his vengeance. Why? Anyway, Vegeta sees that shit is getting really bad. He comes and he helps Goku. They start fighting together. They had a cool scene where Goku uses the Kamehameha. Vegeta uses the Gallic gun. And they do basically a Gallic Kamehameha. It's badass, right? I'm gonna call it the Gallic Kamehameha. I have no idea what else to call it. Because it's not a Final Kamehameha because there's no Final Flash. And there was no Big Bang Kamehameha because there's no Big Bang attack. So I'm just gonna call it a Gallic Kamehameha. That's what it was. That's what I saw. It doesn't work, obviously, because Broly is too goddamn strong. So Goku comes up with a smart plot. He grabs Vegeta and he flies towards Frieza and uses instant transmission to go over to Piccolo. And then Frieza just starts getting his ass kicked because they basically drag Broly directly to him. It's a similar strategy to what Goku did on Namek. I don't know if you guys remember when Frieza was using his little destructive disc things. He basically flew towards Frieza while the destructive disc was following him, and then the last second he flew away so the destructive disc could potentially hit him. It didn't work, but in this case, his strategy was legit. It worked out. So Goku and Vegeta have this discussion where there was some good comedic relief moments, and they decide they're going to fuse into Gogeta. And while this is happening, Frieza fights Broly for a whole goddamn hour. yeah, kind of stretching it a little bit, with this logic, Toei, your Toei writers or Toriyama, whoever the hell wrote this in there, that you're kind of stretching it. Like, Goku and Vegeta together barely survived for a half an hour, and now we're supposed to believe that Golden Frieza survives against Broly for a whole hour through 2 failed fusions? Come on, really? Anyway, they fuse into Gogeta, right? And the reason why this didn't have as much impact as it should have, despite the fact that I was glad that Gogeta became canon here, the reason why this is a problem is because Toei spoiled one of the best parts of the fucking movie. Because me and a lot of other people thought that what was going to happen in this movie was that Goku was going to unlock his Master Ultra Instinct, and he was going to, or complete master, it's not really master, it's more like complete, he hasn't mastered it, we'll say complete Ultra Instinct. And we thought that was going to be what beats Broly. But instead, Toei weeks ago spoiled that Gogeta was going to be in the movie. Like, were you really that desperate for people to watch the movie that you spoiled one of the best, what could have been one of the best reveals in Dragon Ball history? Why would you do that? I've already had problems with other Dragon Ball YouTubers spoiling Dragon Ball Super episodes. Like, the Super stories were already, like, really tensionless. You could guess what was going to happen at the end. I predicted the end of damn near every arc that's happened. I've damn near predicted the end of all of them. Except for, like, the end of, like, the Goku Black arc. I never anticipate Trunks was going to get his ass pull power up. But you can basically predict everything. Like, it's a very tensionless story, and yet these Dragon Ball YouTubers run around and they spoil everything. And then Toei decides, we're going to spoil our own movie. We're going to spoil what could have been one of the best fucking reveals for a character that people have wanted to become canon for a decade now, and you spoiled it. You ruined it. Why? So, Gogeta finally comes out, right? He comes through, and he says to Whis, because Whis was, at one point, Broly stops targeting, he stops targeting Frieza, and he starts targeting Whis. He doesn't touch Whis because he's fucking Whis. And Gogeta says, listen, I'm gonna handle this. And the Gogeta and Broly fight, fucking legit. Like, again, the animation in this fucking movie, incredible. Truly some of the best shit I've ever seen. They fight. We see Gogeta use a Stardust Breaker. That doesn't do any damage. At one point, Gogeta and Broly, their energy blast connects, and I can't tell what happened, but it's like they created a small, like, pocket dimension or some shit, and they're fighting inside that, and they switch from normal animation to CGI, and it was a really cool sequence, but I don't really understand what happened there. After that, they break out of it, and Gogeta uses the majority of his power, does even more damage, and at this point, what was happening off screen essentially was Chirai and Beanie. They stole the Dragon Balls, and before Gogeta can finish off Broly with a Super Kamehameha, he decides, we're going to just completely take this, we're going to take him off the planet. Small issue here. Shenron clearly articulates, you have one wish, just one wish, right? And Chirai makes 2 wishes. She says, I wish for you to save Broly and send him back to the planet he came from. That's not one wish. That's 2 wishes. Listen, even when I was in the movie theater, I said that shit, and there was people around, like a guy behind me and a guy in front of me, both said the same shit. We were all like, bitch, that was 2 wishes. What the hell? So, that was weird. Error. I don't know if that was like a translation error or what that was, but that was definitely 2 wishes. Logical inconsistency there. But regardless, Broly gets transferred back to Vampa. And that's basically the ending of the fighting. Then Frieza, once Chirai and Beanie try to fly away to go after Broly, Frieza tries to shoot him down, and Gogeta comes through and grabs his hand and says, nah, chill. At this point, Frieza says, man, whatever. He comes out of Golden Frieza's like, I'm gonna be back to this planet. And this is another thing that annoyed me, is that, oh man, like, Why didn't Gogeta just kill this nigga? Like, he literally just articulated a clear fucking threat that he's gonna come back to this planet. You know if he comes back to this planet, it ain't gonna be for anything good. Why did you let him escape? All he's gonna do is come back to try and kill you. Vegeta was just complaining at the beginning of the movie talking about I have to train and get stronger because that nigga Frieza's out there. And Frieza is in your face while you're in Gogeta. And you don't kill him. Why? Why would you let him escape? I'm just tired of seeing Frieza. The dude is my favorite villain. I'm tired of seeing the dude. I wish that Gogeta had fucking dusted him right then and there so I don't have to see this dude anymore. I want some different villains. I'm tired of this guy being a linchpin and so many different plot points of the story. I just want him to be killed off. Honestly, I just want him to die and for him to stay dead. I'm tired of seeing Frieza. I concede. I'm done. I'm not going to defend Frieza anymore. I'm tired of seeing the dude too. Alright? So he flies away. And, we skip to Chirai and Beanie. They make it to Vampa. They talk to Broly. Blah, 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 blah. Then Goku uses instant transmission. He finds Broly. He gives them supplies and some shit. And he basically says, well, I'm going to come through, every once in a while. I want to fight with Broly. I'm going to teach him some shit. And, I want to get stronger with the dude. So, that's the way it is. And then at the end of the movie, he basically says, my name is Goku, but Broly, you can call me Kakarot, and the movie ends. Yay, hooray. So, I completely broke, my promise. I was gonna try to keep this pretty fucking short. And, we're now going into the 50-minute mark. So, sorry? So, what do I think? What score would I give this movie? First, like I said, the animation was great. The fighting was great. Like I said, like 9 months ago, this was going to be a great looking movie, but it wasn't going to be a well written movie. The storyline and the premise were pretty much trash, non-existent, really. There were some story points that were included that were needed, but the vast majority of them weren't. The premises were weak and had been used plenty of times before. It wasn't really original. But, regardless, if I were to give I would say this is probably the best, super movie that has ever been made, like, out of, Resurrection of F and Battle Gods. To me, this is the best, super movie ever made. I don't know how much that means, considering the fact that Resurrection of F was garbage and Battle Gods was meh. But, it's still the best super movie thus far. At least they're improving. I'll say that much. At least this, like, you know, the writers are kind of improving. So I have to give them credit for at least improving upon their movies. Like I said, the storytelling, premises, meh. I'll give the animation for this movie because I think this is the best animated movie of all time. Like, for Dragon Ball, this is the best animated movie in existence, period. I think I will give it like a 10 out of 10. There were some points where the art was, kind of iffy, even when there wasn't like high movement or, any blurs or anything. It was just like, there was like a quality drop in the art at some points in the movie. I'll give the art like an 8 out of 10. And I would say the story is like I'll say the story is like a 2 or 3 out of 10, and the premise is like a 2 out of 10. I'll say overall, I would give this movie a 5 or 6 out of 10. It was decent for sure. It's definitely better than the other movies, but there definitely needs to be a lot of improvement on the writing side of things for me to start, you know, taking this shit seriously as a written entity. But other than that, that's all I have to say about the movie. Hopefully you liked my review. Sorry for the people that were expecting me to hate this movie and give it one of the worst scores possible. And not saying that the movie was trash. I don't think the movie was trash. I don't think it was fucking phenomenal either. I don't think that it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just a decent movie. So I don't think it was trash. I don't think it was the best Dragon Ball movie ever created like these fanboys have been saying. The fuck it's not. Best animated maybe, but definitely doesn't have the best story or the best premise. So I would say it's in the middle. I would say a 5 or 6 out of 10. And yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Sorry for the lack of, any real visual representation. I just wanted to get this out so that people saw my thoughts on the movie. That's about it. If you guys want me to talk about, anything else related to Dragon Ball Super, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video or not by liking, subscribing, whatever. Just let me know what you think. Other than that, your boy Ars is out.